and welcome back everyone for the final episode of Cinnamon Talk Lounge, where we bring you the stories, the memories and the leadership journeys of the individuals that shaped our club. Today we have a very important and special individual joining with us in today's episode. She is one of the individuals who shaped the beginning of our club and supports us and strengthens us each and every single day. She is the individual who played a key role in the revival of the club back in 2018, helping rebuild and reignite the journey that continues today. Currently, she serves as the District Rotaract Chair and is also the immediate past president of the Rotary Club of Colombo North. Beyond Rotary and Rotaract, she also serves as the global coordinator of the Commonwealth Youth Peace Ambassador Network, an Institute of Economics and Peace Ambassador, and a Commonwealth Youth Leadership Summit Fellow. Please join me in warmly welcoming Rotarian Fatima Haneekah Rahil. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Nuhan.
Yes. Just to start off this, how does it feel to be back here for a project of Cinnamon Gardens and seeing how the club has grown throughout the years? What does it feel like for you?
It's not very unfamiliar at all because, Cinnamon Gardens has been very much part of my life. So it feels really great to be back for a project because they have been calling me for so many of the initiatives and I wasn't able to, join many of them because I was mostly traveling a lot. But it's great to be here.
I see. So I've done a couple of past interviews with the other leaders from our previous batches, and a certain thing that they mentioned was Cinnamon Gardens is always a family. So what is the start of this tradition? Where do you think this culture comes from?
The culture, of course, because see, if you look at Cinnamon Gardens, it had a very different and unique start, right? Because we have, I don't know if you all know, a lot of people may not know, we have revived our club twice. That is in 2013 and then that was because we have produced a DRR also called Abdul Wahid and his brother Abdul Basit. He's another Abdul Basit. We have a couple of them. He was also a part of our club. So during that time when Abdul Wahid was there, we had after his year, right before his year, we revived it. And then during my year, when I took up, I had to actually be the reviving president. So,
right.
That's how everything started.
And that just leads me on to my next question. What inspired you to take that initiative to reignite that flame of Cinnamon Gardens and bring back the club to life?
It's a very passionate question you're asking me, but I don't have a very big answer to it because I didn't have much of a choice. I was literally forced to it. Like I said, Abdul Basit sat me down and he said, listen, we have just a handful of people here. Are you going to take it up or not? Because if I don't take it up, then what will happen is the club has to be shut down, literally. So we didn't have much of a choice and there was nobody left really to take it up. So I seemed like the only choice that they were left with.
In hindsight, that is the perfect choice that you could have made.
I hope so.
Talking about that revival, what were some of the biggest challenges that you had to personally face when reviving the club, in the revival process itself?
Reviving process, I think for any club to get revived, the main issue is always the membership. Right? So you need to have quality members or at least handful of members. I did not have that. I just had like 4 to 5 members and we had to work around with them and build on what we have left with. So that was one of the biggest challenges I personally faced. But I'm so grateful for all the members who stood with me back then. They're still, very much part of my life.
Definitely. Yeah. And at any point in time, did you imagine the club would grow into what it is today with a massive membership backing the club, a lot of new faces coming up each day, and a lot of projects being carried out by the club?
Oh, I did. You know why? Because whenever I take up something, this is something I always have, followed throughout my journey, that I always have a 10-year plan. Right. I know it's a little, but when I took up in 2018, I had to take it halfway through because one of our presidents left. So I didn't know I had to continue, but I had to continue for 2019 as well. So it was like almost 1.5 years I was doing my presidency. So then I thought, okay, 2018, then I have the 10-year mark, which will be 2028. So I knew, okay, by 2028, if we can make the club to a strong membership, with a dynamic set of group of young people with lots of great projects, then you get that sense of we have achieved something. I think I can happily say that, to 2028 is 2 years from now, no?
Yeah.
So I think we are halfway there. We have done
That's
great.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, considering that history, for many of our current members, the early years of the club are just stories that they've only heard about. What was the culture and the spirit of the club during the revival process? You said you only had a handful of members. So what was the feeling of, okay, we only have a couple of members, but we have to make this work? What did that feel like?
So the culture back then was not very different to how it is now, but we always had that family bond because, people back then, I hope now also, never worked for any positions. Because of course you have a handful of people, you can't be competing for positions. So you have to make sure, like they had that respect towards each other. You can pick up the call and call them in the middle of the night. They would still, come and do that work for you. There was no balance. There was no, torturing each and everyone through calls to come and get it done. So this is how the culture was. But we made really fond memories through it. So these are fond memories
and
we
that's
still
the most
carry.
important thing in life. And what do you think that makes Cinnamon Gardens unique than other clubs, being an important figure?
Yeah, so when you ask me about the uniqueness, I keep saying to Ilham also, your current president, always follow the family bond, because when you work in a professional setting, you will of course want to, you work for something. But when you do something for a family member, you don't really expect anything in return.
You work for each other.
You work for each other. So when you do like that, you won't have any issues, because then there's no real, work-life boundaries and all of that. I am not saying that boundaries are not important. They are very much. But in a very, setup where there's unity and love and understanding towards each other, you should have that family bond.
Definitely.
So that will take you further.
And I think a lot of in general, people lack this sense of family, this relationship with one another, and this sort of makes people drift apart and work towards selfish individual goals. And I think one of the most important things which our club just does possess is that because of that sense of unity, everyone acts in a selfless way, working towards a common
Very
goal.
true. Yeah, you need to be a team player.
Exactly. You took the words right out of my mouth, because what I want to question is, you've held different leadership positions across different levels of Rotary and Rotaract. What has this leadership taught you as an individual?
I have a very different view on that. Usually people say when you have to be a leader, you need to be able to lead. Everybody should listen to you and blah blah blah. But I always say that if you are going to be a leader, you need to be a follower also, because you need to take a step back and listen to what your members actually say. Because if you're not inviting their views and if you're not listening to their views, then you're making a very important mistake there, because only through listening to them you will know what exactly to deliver to them. So you always should know when to take a step back, listen to them, and redo your strategy and deliver them in full force. That's very important.
Right. And is it fair to say that it is only when you do care about your club members and pay attention to what they're saying that they will come back to you and reciprocate that whatever feeling that you're giving to them?
Yeah, they would, because if you don't, treat them equally, if you don't, because everybody comes with a certain expectation. Let's be honest. Even when you join Rotaract, you would have certain expectations, what you would get from it, how you would benefit. Of course, you would want to serve the community, but as a young person, there are so many things running in your mind. So we need to have a strategy that how we are going to keep them, because retention is one of the global factors across Rotary that we are facing, Rotaract also. So how to retain the members? Only through delivering the best results. Yeah.
I see. As someone who's mentored a lot of people in a lot of leadership positions, apart from being a good listener and apart from being empathetic towards other people, what do you feel like is one of the most significant features of a good leader?
Significant feature of a good leader. You said listener, you said being empathetic. I think above all, to be a good human being. It's very important. It covers all the aspects you told. But in Rotaract, it's a volunteer program, right? You are here to volunteer for people and do community service. But the good thing about Rotary is it is also about professional development. So you need to, this is something, I'll tell you a very small story because this comes from our president, our own Rotary International President, K.R. Ravi. He always tells, first you need to get your priority state, which is have your first family, then next business, third comes Rotaract. If you don't have these priorities in order, then you will make a big blunder. Why? Because you will have it jumbled up, your priorities will not be straight, you will not have balance, then at the end, you will not retain, you will eventually leave for what is important, which is your business and family. So you need to have that balance.
Right. And talking in terms of this balance, I feel like a lot of youth volunteers today in different parts of volunteering oftentimes misprioritize how their life works and end up fumbling a lot of things that they could have achieved, deprioritizing things like education in certain senses. So what sort of advice would you give to these individuals into balancing those aspects of life?
Especially if you're a school going student. If you're in Interact, always pay attention to your studies. That's very important because education is something I heavily advocate for. And secondly, when you come to the Rotaract movement, I know balance is sometimes hard, but that is why you need to understand what are your priorities in life. Always write down, like writing is a great art. I keep saying at my sessions where I mentor people also, that always write down what you want from a certain project or program or any organization you want. Write down your plans, there's nothing wrong with it, and then stick to it. Don't go out of it. If you take up a responsibility, make sure you can deliver. If you can't deliver, don't take it out. Just say that, you need to learn to say no a lot of times in life rather than saying yes and, making lives harder for other people. So learn to say no.
Of course. A couple of past presidents that I interviewed, Rotaractor Asfar Aslam and Rotaract past president Mishka, both mentioned you as the mother of our club. How does it feel hearing something like that coming from the leaders who came after you?
So Ashfa and Mishka, they are both Rotarians now. They have grown as really great individuals, and I'm very fond of both of them. I mean, recently went to their wedding as well. It's really nice to see Rotaract couples getting married. I mean, I'm one of them as well. So basically, for Ashfa and Mishka, they were their own leaders even before they came to this movement. So that is something I greatly admire. So what they brought into this movement added value to what Cinnamon Gardens had already, been established, and they added their value to it and made it an even better and greater club, right? So hearing something like that from them, gives me great sense of relief because I know at least I've done something, but definitely. I always feel like a proud mama. But when I say this to my husband, he always says, you are not the proud mother, you're the proud dragon. Because, I can get a little strict on certain things here.
And speaking of inspiration, something that Rotarian Mishka mentioned was that you were one of the reasons that she applied for presidency, especially because she wanted to continue like the strong leadership, female leadership within the club. For many young girls in the movement today, you are seen as a role model. What message would you like to share with young women who aspire to be in positions of leadership?
For young women, one of the main piece of advice I'll give them is you're already great at what you're doing. Mainly women, right? I'm not discriminating anyone here. Both of you all should achieve everything. But what I'm saying is they're already good at multitasking. For example, I grew up seeing my mother who went to uni Pera Dinia. She used to study, she got married, she had this, she had that. So likewise for young women, you are already great at multitasking. So keep doing what you're doing and always be proactive to ask what you want, because in this world we are living, right, you need to be able to ask. If you don't know, if you don't go out there and ask, sometimes you might not get it, because people on the other side of the road will not know what you really want. So if you want something, if you're eyeing for something, be proactive and ask for it and apply for it. Don't wait for it, because that's when you can truly achieve.
And to double down on that, I think in status quo, a lot of young women enter the movement, and after some time, they aren't able to retain themselves within the movement. Why do you think it's so important specifically to stay and take up leadership roles specifically within this Rotaract movement? Because it might be because you inspire others to follow you. What do you think this, in your opinion?
I would say that's because, now see, for a young person, right, like when they join the movement, mainly as soon as they join, they are in their prime age where you have to juggle work. You have to, maybe if you are the breadwinner of the family, then probably you have to earn for it as well. Then you have to serve the people. You come to Rotaract and it gives you a sense of community, and then you serve the people and all of that. But somewhere down the line, if you feel like this is not your priority right now, then you might prioritize other things. Just like the answer I told you about what President K.R. Ravi told, right? So that is why you need to first achieve the first two levels. If not, it's going to be very hard. You have to always prioritize the first two levels, then come to the third level. That's when you can truly stay back. Now, for example, in Rotary, when we do take young people, sometimes because of their work commitments and so on, they have to sometimes take a seat back, and they can't really continue with their Rotary membership, which is very understandable. So that's why, our club, now I'm in part of Rotary Club of Colombo North, we have also come up with different installment plans and different incentives for youth to join Rotary clubs. So I think working around all these will make them stay back. There are different options to stay back if you want to. There's options, but you have to know which one to pick. That is something I would say.
Definitely. And talking about your personal journey as a leader, you're currently serving as the District Rotaract Chair, while also actively being involved in several global peace-focused initiatives and much more. How did your journey evolve from club level leadership to district and to international levels?
I think, firstly, I enjoy being part of all of this. Sometimes I go a little mad with all the time zones, because as a global coordinator, right, I have to work with 56 Commonwealth nations. So we have country ambassadors across all 56. The time zone is crazy. So we have Chogam coming up, which is the heads of the state government meeting as well, which is happening in Antigua, Barbados. So, you juggle through so much, but what I would say is without the family's support, you can't really do anything. So I have a strong partner who is very supportive of my, career and everything. So I think I owe up to him for that. So yes, I have come a long way, and even I think Salini was asking me what I'm taking up next year. I'm taking up International Services Chair, but I think it fits me very well also, so that's why I took it up. So let's see how it goes.
For sure. Apart from that, you've built connections with people from different parts of the world, and you've been involved in many international opportunities. How did that journey begin, and how important has networking been in your Rotaract and Rotary journey?
I think, good question. You have asked about my journey. I don't think I have shared my journey with anyone. It's quite a long journey, because I studied in Republic of Maldives, right? I did my primary and secondary there. Then I went to Seychelles to do my high school. Then I came to Sri Lanka to do my LLB, then did my masters and all of that. So from from childhood, I owe it to my parents also, because they have been pushing me with a lot of things. I've done this, I have done writing, I have done singing, I have been in extracurriculars, you name it, I have done everything. So I think from early on, pushing your child to do, be engaged in a lot of things actually helps. That is why I'm very grateful for my parents pushing me in different ways. So basically, even getting into these roles, right? So now when you have to be able to take up the challenge also, because it comes with a great deal of stress. Just like I was telling you a while before, I mean, international relations, development sector basically, and legal as well. Most of the times people will not know what you really are doing, because a lot of your work is unspoken, it is behind the scenes. You're doing policies, strategies, this, that, you're being part of several high profile meetings, but people wouldn't know what you're really contributing, and you should be very okay with that.
Okay.
As far as you have done a good job, that's what matters. Yeah.
Okay, so you should definitely take a step back and owe it to yourself and the work you're doing, and trust in the process in what you do. And for anyone aspiring to get into this sort of international community, what would you think the pathway into joining something like that would be? What would be the starting point in your eyes?
I think firstly, I would always say, just like we were having a chat right before this, if you're very serious about international relationships, pursue your degree and attend to those, because there are several summits and conferences happening across the world globally, right? So you have to pick a niche, whether you're gonna be advocate towards education or climate or peace, because sometimes if you are part of too many things, you are losing track. So you need to pick your niche and be very confident and go through that journey. It's going to take a very long time, because of course the world is a very big place, and one thing I always notice is, when you go into that life, you will always, first before entering, you will have a phase, you will think, oh my god, I'm so privileged, this and that. But once you go there, you'll see there are a million other people just like you who are doing the same thing. So to make a name for yourself, it's going to take a great deal, but it is very possible, very much possible.
Right. Let's sort of get into some personal reflection. When you look back at your journey in Rotaract and Rotary, what are you most proud of?
What am I proud of? I think it's a very personal answer for me. I think I'm proud of the roles I have played, especially the role as a Rotary Club of Colombo North President. Why I would say is because it gave me a great sense of achievement. It's apart from the awards and all of that, we pushed to do around 60 plus initiatives, and we did around 10 plus district initiatives during my year. And we of course took home a lot of awards, but apart from that, the essence you get about serving your community, and because when you go to the rural parts of Sri Lanka, we are an island nation, right? Sometimes sitting in Colombo, you might be thinking you have it all, but no, you have to travel your own island nation, apart from traveling the world, because you have to look at the people. They have lots of needs. So when you are able to not like help them in full sense, but at least be a part of their little journeys, it gives you a great sense of relief. And when you go back home, you can sleep peacefully, knowing that you have been part of something,
contributed to something.
Yes,
important.
and that will take you too far in life. Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
My younger self, I would definitely tell her, please be kind to yourself, give you enough credit, and take lots of breaks. Because I don't understand breaks or giving myself time to relax, and also after achieving something or finishing a task or initiative, you have already moved on to the next one without realizing how far you have come or what you have done. Yeah, so you have to take enough ample breaks, be bold, be happy with what you have done. Yeah,
interesting, definitely. How would you describe your journey in 3 words?
My journey in 3 words, I would say God, Love, and of course being bold, because I always prioritize God before anything, and I think I have been brave so far, and being compassionate towards people is very important. So all three, yeah.
That's an amazing answer. Right, before we wrap up, this is the final round of questioning. It's called the rapid fire round.
Oh,
so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a question, and you have to answer in whatever you think, way you see fit. It
Yeah.
can be a one-word answer, and that is what the outline of this segment is. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I expect a one-word answer.
Okay.
Okay, we'll start off. Rotaract in one word.
Home.
Leadership in one word.
Bold.
The Club of Cinnamon Gardens in one word.
Family.
Expected that answer. Young leaders today in one word.
Adventurous.
Adventurous. And service to you. What does service mean?
Second hand.
Hand.
No, I'll take it back. I'll give another answer. Service to me is more like, what can I say? It's not rapid fire. No, wait. Service to me would be a sense of relief.
It's a relief. Okay. And the next set of questions, I'm going to prompt the beginning of the sentence. You have to finish the sentence for me.
Yeah.
Firstly, the revival of this club taught me.
The revival of this club taught me what is self-sacrifice means. Yes.
Interesting answer. I think you already answered this next one.
Yeah.
Is it a true leader should always
Be bold, courageous.
be bold?
Yeah.
Definitely. Young women in leadership should never.
Take a step back.
Okay.
Be in the front
Right.
row. Yeah.
One thing I hope this club always keeps is
A sense of family bond. Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And my road track journey has been
Marvelous.
marvelous.
Yeah.
Amazing. Right, coming into the final reflection of today's program. As someone who has helped rebuild this club and watched its journey over the years, how do you personally feel about the club's current situation, growth, and direction?
I think the club is headed towards a great direction. I told you about 2028, the great plan I had, but I think President Ilham is doing a wonderful job, no doubt about that. And even the past presidents of the club, everybody brick by brick, they have built this club, and I really hope the future generation will have another 10-year mark and take the club forward.
Definitely. And to wrap it up,
Yeah.
what is your hope for the future of this club and the generations of leaders who will come after this? That's, I think, something you would like.
After this is what I just told you. I think they should always continue the club's traditions. It's okay to change it here and there, but always keep that family aspect in the forefront, because it will help you a great deal, and that's what emotional intelligence is all about, empathy is all about. Have that in forefront. Yeah.
Right. And thank you, Rotarian Haneekah, and thank you everyone for joining in with us for Cinnamon Talk Lounge, the final episode. We went through amazing stories from all of our leaders, from humble beginnings to where the club is currently headed today and the future of our leadership. I think all of these stories were really amazing to listen to, especially to your stories, how the club started, what that revival process was, and what the culture of this club necessarily means to each and every member. And I think this inspires a lot more individuals into creating this sort of culture in whatever environment that they work in. With that, for the final time, thank you and have a nice day.